Hare Krishna devotees, Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So we'll start off with Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimura Andasya Jnananjala Chalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadatikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamani Hari Priye Vancha Kalpadarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivachadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Come on, all of you join. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So we will do a quick revamp of what we saw yesterday. We will start this. So we were talking about Dhyana Yoga, which is also called Ashtanga Yoga yesterday. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So chapter 6, the first 6 chapters, before I get into this chapter, is very important because it talks about, the whole entire 18 chapters is Bhakti, but the first 6 chapters talk about Bhakti through karma, right? So by doing your karmas, duties, how you can reach Bhakti. So in the process of karma, Krishna is telling, because the 5th chapter evolves around the fact that whether you want to do karma or whether you want to go into a forest and do renunciation. And in the 5th chapter, he says both are fine. But the fact is doing karma yoga, which means doing work in devotion, is easier because it's much cleaner and you don't need to do things like going to a forest and be quickly read all this. And after that, in the 6th chapter, Krishna also tells that when Arjuna says, I can control the mind, but I can even control the wind, but I cannot control the mind. Krishna says it is difficult, but it is not impossible, right? So you see the greatest teacher here, and he encourages via various things. So we saw the various yoga techniques yesterday, and beer yoga and all this, which are the ways in which they talk. What is actually Ashtanga Yoga? Yoga itself means, it's coming from the word yuj, which means connecting to God, right? And Ashtanga Yoga means 8 limbs. So there are 8 limbs, and it's how it connects. So we have Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, and Dhyana. Finally is Samadhi, right? So we saw various things like Yama, which are the internal principles. Yama, which is the external principles. Niyama, which is internal, right? Related to your body. Asana is your sitting postures. Pranayama, your breathing postures. Pratyahara is you completely come out of all this material existence. So there are 2 stages in the yoga, right? The initial stage and the advanced stage. So these are called the ranks, right? And so why are we calling this as 2 stages is, as long as we reach the advanced stage, the yoga rudha stage, which is what you tend to do, you will be practicing your work and you will be practicing yoga. But once you reach advanced stage, which means that you have undivided attention, only then you will get into the forest. But either case needs something called purification. So in Bhagavad Gita, what happens is, in devotional service, the process itself is purifying. See, for attending Bhagavad Gita or for chanting, none of us have really bothered to do any prerequisite, right? Did we go meditate? Did we read some 100 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita? Or did we read entire Bhagavad Gita? Forget shlokas, right? We have done nothing of that sort. So therefore, it is by itself a purification process, so that we are able to see. So this kind of yoga system, we all agreed, is too far. And somebody like Arjuna, who has gone through all this, right? Pashupada is the name of the weapon which he got as a gift from Shiva, for the fight. And therefore, and earlier with Arjuna, and Krishna appeared as Naranarayan, and now it's the same Krishna and Arjuna, right? And to him he says that Chanchalam, the mind is very wavering, and I can't control the mind. I can control even the wind, but Krishna motivates him not to do, but tells him that you can still do by constant practice. So now back to the same question: a mind is a friend or an enemy? Mind is a friend or an enemy?
It's an enemy most of the times.
Thank you so much. That was very advanced understanding, because most of the time they say that mind is a friend. But if you see, if there is a mobile phone, half an hour we can't keep it away, right? We'll be tempted to go and see, and then we'll think we'll see for a second, but that second becomes 5 minutes, right? So mind is most of the time enemy, and I personally experience this. Most of the time I'll think when I get up in the morning to chant, I'll think, okay, let me just check my WhatsApp. Maybe some important message is there, or maybe they have some class announcement, or maybe, and then what will happen? It will be nothing to do with the class. I will think of office, some message which should have come. And from there, I'll go to the family circle. And if I notice, 15, 20 minutes would have gone. Right? Clearly, I would have done 4 rounds of japa. Instead, I would have been using the messages, replying 4, 5 people uselessly, and the mind would have also swayed completely. Right? So, for someone who's conquered, he's a greatest friend, which is very unlikely, because most of the time it is an enemy. So, what is the destination of someone who fails? So 2 levels. If someone is super advanced and he's just failed just marginally, then he'll get it is very rare, but then he will get birth in the transcendental family, just as in case of Prabhupada and all. Whereas if many who tend to fail at a much earlier stage, it does not go wasted, because he will be reborn in the pious state. You can see the greatest yogi, Narada, right? I will tell you the story of Narada, which I will after I explain this. All the yogis are in progression, right? Towards this, right? For example, Bhakti Yoga is ultimate. It's like escalator. However, we can Karma Yoga also, the end is Bhakti. The Jnana Yoga also end is Bhakti. Ashtanga Yoga also the end is Bhakti. So ultimately, all of them go for the Bhakti. So of all the yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worship me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is highest of all. So he's declaring that, right? He is the yoga. So he's a spiritual practice. So even let's now from here on, we are going to start fresh. We have 4 yugas. So can someone tell me what are the 4 yugas and which yuga are we in? Hare Krishna.
Satyuga, Dwapar Yuga,
Yes.
Kali Yuga, and
Correct. We are in Kali Yuga, right? So which is the first yuga?
Satyuga.
Satya Yuga. Thank you so much. So the first yuga is Satya Yuga. So he says that this is what the whole thing is. This is there in Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 3rd chapter, 52. Hare Krishna. Kate yadhyayato minayu tretaya yajjato makahu dvapare paricharyaya kalo taddarike dayanat. So what does he say? Satya Yuga, meditation on Lord Vishnu. So they're making it very clear, right? Vishnu Shmarana, that means meditating on Lord Vishnu. And this is what we thought, right? So whatever Ashtanga Yoga was very suitable for Satya Yuga, because they used to meditate for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years, because their lives were 1 lakh years. So Satya Yuga, people lived for 1 lakh. They could even meditate for 10,000 years. They could do that. It was very difficult. Second, they had the time and they had the patience. Now the second one is Treta Yuga. This is the time when Rama was born, and they used to do a lot of sacrifices, right? Sankirtan, not Sankirtan, but Yagna. So Yagna are a lot of sacrifices. Again, I said, the Agni Kud they will call, and we tell Swaha, Swaha. Does anyone know what is the meaning of Swaha? Swaha is the wife of, our Agni god. So that's why we say Swaha, so that it goes. And whatever is given, even clothes, everything which is presented in the Agni, it will go and reach the Devatas. And through that, it goes to Vishnu. So it is, so that's why the, everything which you do, in the Yagna Kund, ultimately reaches Vishnu. So it's for Vishnu and it's for the pleasure of Vishnu. So the 2 kings who are, Yagna Purushas, one is Indra, right? And the highest is Vishnu. So in Dwapara Yuga, that is, we saw this, right? So in Dwapara Yuga, they had detailed temple worship. Very, very elaborate, right? So that's why when they said, in the Puri Jagannath, Pratap Singh cleaned the temple one day, it will take one entire day even with the full team to flow, because it's very long. They have such long things, they have boa practices, it's a constant chakra, right? Kali Yuga, the easiest, simplest, is chanting the holy names of the Lord. Come on, anybody, come, all of you. One time we'll chant, right? Since we've addressed Kali Yuga. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I have to hear all of you. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna Hare
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 Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama Hare Rama
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 Rama,
Rama
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Thank you so much. So now
Hare
there are two things. There are like 50 floors. Would you take the steps or the lift?
lift, ma'am.
The easiest way, we'll take the lift.
Yeah. So a sensible person will take the lift, right? So that lift, taking the lift is only Bhakti Yoga. So why do we say it is Bhakti Yoga? Because Bhakti is like quickly you can go and reach, whereas anything else, whether it's Karma Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, it's like taking the steps. It's a slow, you will still succeed, but it's a slow process. So now we are going to see what is mantra, right? Mantra is split into two words called the man plus tra. Man means mind, right? We have seen this, right? Bhumi apo nalo ayu kam mano buddhi. So mano itself means mind, right? And tra means deliver. So something in the mind to get delivered. So japa, we just saw Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is japa. Why am I repeating this again is, do you remember when I tell you all to chant, many of you will be singing like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Do you see the difference between the first and the second? So japa is each word you pronounce clearly, you tell softly, you speak and you hear. So the action is you're speaking and you're hearing. Only two practice. Of course, we use the beats, but it is without any music. Because and you tell 108 times for one complete mala. I will show you in the mala. I'll show you now. Right? So if you can see, right? So this is the bag, and I will show you closer to, because I think the picture will make my picture look small. So this is the beats. So this is 108 beats. Right. So for each beat, you tell one completely. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. After you finish one full, you do this. So you tell that way. You don't tell Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That becomes Sankirtan. Kirtan. So when do you do that? You do that when a lot of people are there. So when you have that, it's like both are Shravanam, but the first one is exclusively for yourself, maybe for people around or some insects around, but Sankirtan is loud, right? It's bubbly, it's music, it's full Kirtan, and it takes time, right? So scriptural references. So all this is not man-made or concocted. These are all scriptural references. For chanting the holy names of the Lord, there is some speciality which I have not had the chance to share, but since we have that extra 4 days, I'll give you the little heads up. So normally I give in the level 2. So normally there are many names of God, right? Each has a different meaning. Now let's say that many times, for fun, we used to tell Govinda, lost, right? Or you will tell Hare, you're one real Tenali Rama. Why you can't do? Then they will tell, no, Narayana, please, stop it, right? So whichever way you're going to talk the name, whether hilariously or wonder or anger or with an excitement, in all the cases, what happens is that the names are so powerful, and chanting of the holy names actually takes you to the next level, right? So next level in the sense, it's so powerful and it's transcendental, right? Even in the lightest mood, if you tell, it is not different. So when you tell Govinda, Gopala, Madhava, everything is Krishna. So there is no difference between the name, form of the Lord. Example, Radhika is different from the person Radhika, right? It's my name. So, but whereas for Krishna, both are just the same. Now we are going to the scriptural references, which are all there, and we will go to this, right? So we have this Narayana Sahita, right? Like the Samhita, we have what's called the Narayana Sahita. So what does it say over there is, it says, Dwapare Janer Vino, Aicharatres tu Kevalai, Kalo tu Nama Matreya, Uchyate Bhagavan Hariyu. So very clearly, right? Kalai means Kali Yuga. Nama Matrame, only the name, right? So that's mentioned. So we may be wondering, from where did you tell? You just started taking one bead band Mataji and you started telling chant, right? And that's what we are talking about. So it's a cult. No, this is there in the Shastras, right? In the age of Kali, people should simply chant the holy name. This is what is mentioned in Kali. So so these are all in the name of the Shastras, which is in the red line below. It's called Kali Santara Upanishad, right? It's an Upanishad. So here it very clearly says, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti nu shakha namna Kali Kalmana Nashchana Nato Parataro Payo Sarva Vedenu Dakshyate. So basically, this is the Kali Kalmana. Okay, this is the only, iti means thus. This is the only solution for people in Kali Yuga. Right? For Sarva, for everyone, this is the only solution. So we'll see the meaning, it's here. He says, okay, it's not there. So next one, Chaitanya Charitamrita has, we spoke about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it has the 3 versions, which is called the Adi, beginning, Madhya, middle, and the Antya Leela of Chaitanya. He lived only for 48 years. First 24 years, he lived like a son. He got married, Grahastha Ashram. Next 24 years, he took sannyas, right? There also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's given here. Harer Nama Eva Kevalam. Kale Nasti Eva Gatir Anyate. Nothing is there except the name. There is nothing left, and we have to keep going on, right? So it is so beautifully mentioned in the scriptures, right? And also we can see in Srimad Bhagavatam, which we have already seen, which says 12.3.51. Kale do nide rajan asti eko mahangatu kirtana deva kannesya mukta sango paravrajat. Kanesya, right? So it's Kaneya. So what the only way is chanting, right? Simply by chanting, all the JzijÄNA means all the Yaja, Japa, everything of all sacrifices. I am the chanting of the holy name. For this, you have to wait, right? 10th chapter, you will see of all the yagnas which we do. There's so many type of yagnas, right? So in that, he says that holy name chanting, I am that. And Srimad Leela, right? Which is the last one. Can one of you read this, please? So I've been only reading. One of you all please read. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, ma'am.
Just read, ma'am.
My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name there is all good fortune for the living entity, and therefore you have many names such as Krishna and Govinda. You have invested all your potencies in those names, and there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them.
So basically, very beautifully is explaining, right? My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name there is a good fortune for the living entity, right? So whichever name you address, and therefore you may have different names such as Kanaya or Govinda. You have invested all your potencies in that name. That's why. Why? Because for us, our strength is only with us, our body or our mind. But our name is just a identity for us. But for Krishna, he has invested all his strength, energy in that name. So the name itself is so potent, and there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them, right? Now let's see the do's of chanting. I want each one of you all, I will show you with the japa, but then for now, do's of chanting, chant the Panchatattva mantra before starting the Hare Krishna Maha-mantra, right? So what is a Panchatattva mantra? I'll read once and you all can, follow after every line, right? One time I'll read and then I'll read line by line. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivatsadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda, right? So this is the meaning. So, and let me tell you who they are. Shri Krishna Chaitanya is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna, right? Prabhu Nityananda, can you see the person in blue dress? He is Balram. Shri Advaita Gadadhara is this elderly person who is a combination of Vishnu and Shiva, right? So understood here. So Vishnu and Shiva, first person. Second is our Balram, and Chaitanya is Krishna. Now on the other side, we have Radha Rani, right? Radha Rani's avatar, whoever is taken, is called Gadadhara Pandit, right? And we have last, who is none other than our Narada, who is Srivatsa. So that is what we say, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda. So that is why we are taking the blessings of the Panchatattva, so that we don't any offenses or any mistakes or concentration. Everything is higher, and any offense made also gets nullified. So I'll tell line by line, you can follow so that you have to repeat when you chant. So today onwards, before we start chanting, like 6 days, so 36 we will do this. So first line I'll tell and you all can repeat the line. Hare Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda.
Prabhu Nityananda,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara.
Shri Advaita Gadadhara,
Srivatsadi.
Sadi,
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So this is what it is. So what are the do's for the chanting? Chant audibly, loud enough to hear the mantra, only for you to hear. You will say Hare Krishna is fine. You don't need to Hare Krishna, no need that. You can just tell, because if you tell the second one, you'll get exhausted. Announce each name distinctly. You don't say Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna. No. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Clearly, you pronounce each word. Chant with respect and devotion and concentration, which is very difficult. Respect, devotion, we still can. Concentration is so difficult, right? But we will do that. So one shloka, when you're chanting one time, just think this last time you're telling. So you tell Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This tone is more than that. Do's for the chanting, you can chant any place. Sitting, you can do. Walking, you can do. Facing any side, you can. Very important. Sitting any side, facing. Ideally, you can sit and chant, but for some people, they prefer to walk and chant. Either way is fine. And you can chant anytime, but the most ideal is Brahma Muhurta. When is Brahma Muhurta? The typical 3:30, 3:45 in the morning is Brahma Muhurta, and it is considered the most auspicious time. But any time during the day, chanting itself is auspicious. So you can chant any time during the day. You can chant before bath, after bath. See, this is a Basbar offer. Many time temple, whatever you pray, right? You have to follow the Pancharatra Vidhi, which means 5 vidhis set by Narada. But here, this is called Bhagavad Vidhi. So there is no such rule that you have to take bath or something and only chant. You can chant as soon as you wake up. You can just wash your face, take the bead and start. Even washing face, why we tell is because otherwise you start sleeping. It is recommended to chant by keeping count rather than just telling Hare Krishna, no. Preferably, you can use a Tulsi Mala, which I showed, which has 108 beads. If you don't have one, you can buy. If you don't have time to even buy, then you can use any beads. You'll have your pearl bead in the house. That kind of a bead also is fine. Do's of chanting, one should not chant only a portion of the Maha Mantra. Don't just chant, like for instance, the most common mistake everybody does is, the bead, the most common mistake which we'll do is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. They will go to the next bead. Don't do that. That's the biggest mistake. You will do fully in one bead itself, right? So you will tell Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. After you finish that mantra, only then you go, right? So that is important. So next one is don'ts for chanting. One should not chant the Krishna on the Krishna beat. So you do not chant on this beat. This is called the Krishna beat. Right? So you don't cross. Can you see this? Yeah. Yeah, this particular beat you don't chant and you don't go over it. So after you finish this, you don't cross over the beat, right? You turn the beat. So if you come till here, you don't cross, you turn the beat, right? And you start from. So that is very important. So don't do multitasking. Don't chant and then read book. Don't watch TV and read, right? Or newspaper, don't do. Because you can't do multitasking. Mind can do only one task. When you do multitasking, it means little mind is here, little mind is there. It goes and comes. It's very tiring, even scientifically. What are the benefits of chanting? The fastest benefit is freedom from the reactions of sin, which I told you all also. It is going to come in the 18th chapter, but beginning itself, I can give you a heads up. Sarva dharmyam parityaga mam ekam shmaranam saranam vraja, right? So give up all religion, we will tell at the end, but I'm just telling you all in advance, right? Mam ekam saranam, right? You please go and do, right? So what happened? Aham tvam sarva papebhyo, I, you, will remove all your papas. That's what is a sinful reaction, right? Moksha ishami mam shunnu. So therefore, I will give you complete freedom from the sinful reaction. So whatever you have done in the past, it doesn't matter. And freedom from anxiety and stress. So whatever anxiety you had, whatever stress you have complete freedom and you'll have complete peace of mind. we have real happiness. So what is real happiness and enlightenment? What should people say about chanting Hare Krishna? That people say they get a lot of things. See, there are different views. For example, I know a friend of mine, and she tells that I get very I get a lot of energy. She says, like, I get a lot of energy. Another person, I know a teacher who says that morning I prefer to start with the day because I feel fresh. Okay, so, and someone says I have confidence, right? I personally feel I enjoy, right? So each of them will have a different reaction because this is a personal relationship with Krishna, right? So he will reciprocate differently, right? So this is the first thing. uh, so it's like understanding God, like really understanding God. So if you see, otherwise, so many people would have not changed themselves, right? Let's have a view of what George Harrison says. Go ahead and read, Ma. We'll see the views of various people all over the world, what they are saying. Yes, please read.
Everything started happening chanting Hare Krishna.
Okay. For me, it started when I began chanting, right? Jean-Claude said he's the youngest director, so it starts here. So everybody will be knowing him, but chanting Hare Krishna has made a tremendous impact in my life, says Ford. Ford Motors, right? Everybody must be knowing the Ford car, Albert Bush. And please go ahead, read.
I've been chanting Hare Krishna for many years and I have never found anything more pleasurable.
Right? So this is by N.D. Desai. He's a leading industrialist. G. You would be familiar with. Yeah, go on next, Hare Krishna.
Chanting Hare Krishna has helped me face all the ups and downs in my life with a great confidence and peace of mind.
From Mafatlal, CFO. So she is the model. She was like this and she became like this. She was the Vogue, right? She was the modelist. And can you see how she looks calm and composed? Right? Chanting helped me to give up all bad habits. It changed my vision of things. Right? Can you believe somebody who have done everything? She's the Dutch model. Anna Schaufus. And she's one more model, right? All of you would have heard of this big brand, right? Vernissage. They are like, so she says, what does she say? Like, by starting to chant Hare Krishna, I feel tremendous happiness, right? So can you see how she looks? She's stitching dainty dresses. Vicky Overeem, she's an European model. Please go ahead and read Hare Krishna.
My outlook towards life is a lot more brighter after starting to associate with Hare Krishna devotees and chanting the Mahamantra.
So he says very clearly, it's become a lot more brighter. And we'll see, he's a pilot, right? So he's army officer, right? He's Bruce Kleinberg. So you can imagine what kind of a sentiment they will have. Chanting makes me feel close to God. Who says this? Marco Ferrini, Italy's top furniture designer. Hare Krishna, please go ahead, read.
Mahamantra significantly reduces stress, depression, and the mode of ignorance and considerably increases mode of goodness.
Right, so he's saying this. So let's see who it is. We just saw David Wolf, Master of Social Service Program at Florida State University, researcher for studying the effects of Hare Krishna. He did a PhD in what? How does the chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra have an effect on ourselves, right? So he's done a book and he's released this book where he says he's done this masterate, right? And doctorate, in fact, on how it has an impact. Please go ahead and read Hare Krishna.
When I am stressed out, I chant. It's one thing which charges my batteries. It clears my mind and brings me back in focus.
So very clearly he says that when I'm stressed out, I chant. The one thing which charges my batteries, right? So very clearly, Paul Blear, printing executive. Yeah.
When I'm nervous, I find chanting very calming. I don't get shaken up at little things.
Very important. Why I'm making all of you all, one of you all read all this is because you can see that everyone does not have the same reaction, right? For someone it's happy, For someone, it relieves them of anxiety. For some of them, it keeps them calm. For some of them, it gives them confidence to approach success. For some of them, they don't feel nervous, right? This is Sally. She's a merchandiser, and you can see a complete range, right from your army officer till a model. There is a complete range of people. Hare Krishna. Please read.
Chanting Hare Krishna and reading authorized books on Krishna consciousness has brought me great peace.
So this is from Ramesh Lal, Toronto Health Spa proprietor. You can also chant. Come on, all of you, one time, let's all chant together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and be happy, right? So this presentation has come. I will show you all. So far, do you have doubts in chanting? I'll take your doubts and then I can tell you the Narada story. Can you see this? So this is what we said is the bead which you don't cross over. Can you see? The beat. So we will chant one full round. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. After you finish, you go to the next beat. Most of the time, what happens? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is pronunciation has to be clear. It has to be Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We will not say Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare. After something, you won't know what you're talking, right? The process is talking and hearing. So it's between the mouth and the ear. So that's your only communication. On an average, your time you should take is about 5.5 minutes. Initially, it will go to 8 minutes also. And as you get used to it, will come to 3 minutes. Both are wrong, right? You should on an average hover around 5.5. Give or take 15 seconds is okay, but broadly that should be the time. So these are the general things. But do you all have any doubt on this? Do you all have any other doubt? Any other doubt?
No, Bhajin.
No doubt. Okay. If there are no doubts, 1 second, I will go ahead with the story. Okay. Narada. Before story, let me tell the prayer. Vancha kalpa darubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. So we will go to the story of Narada. Does anyone know who Narada is? Silent.
Ma'am, he was the messenger of Lord Vishnu.
I can see. Where is Narada? Okay. Just 1 second. So we will. So one thing special about Narada is Narada will be personally present every time when there is a need. When you tell, wait, let me just start recording of Narada. Hare Krishna. So today we will see Narada. We'll talk about Narada. What is special about Narada and why glorifying Narada, right? So Narada is yes, all of you all know his story as he's one of the devotees and he's always having his veena glorifying Narayana, right? So let's go ahead and see a little more and understand Narada. So that's one speciality whenever somebody needs, right? So the first need is Vyasa. So all of us know Vyasa. Who is Vyasa is the was the one who wrote the Vedas, right? And after that he wrote Mahabharata. This was and you know what happened is, of course, Bhagavad Gita also he wrote because Sanjaya saw and he is Sanjaya's guru. So now what happens is Vyasa comes to Narada and says that even though I've written so many books, I still have a lot of dissatisfaction. You know, I have that content. Normally, when you write a lot of books, or you know about God, you feel great. So that time Narada said, yes, but you have covered a lot of things in Mahabharata, like politics, where everywhere around you have God, but you don't have a direct address of God, right? So you write something which you can directly address God. the God, their pastimes, the devotees' relationship with God, experience of the various devotees, how they were able to reach God, then you'll have satisfaction. So that is when he started writing Srimad Bhagavatam, and I would request each one of you, along with Bhagavad Gita, read Srimad Bhagavatam. You don't even have to wait to complete Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita is by Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam is about Krishna. So this is a book which is written by Krishna himself. So, who is Narada? Narada is the son of Lord Brahma, right? We all know Brahma, and Narada means Nara means wisdom, and Da means giver. So he's a giver of wisdom, right? He will go and give wisdom to everyone. He's such a divine sage who is dedicated to serving Lord Narayana. We all know this. He is a guru for disciples like Vasa, we saw Vyasa, and we will also see Prahlad. So Prahlad story is like this. So what happened in case of Prahlad was, all of you know Prahlad is the son of Hiranyakashipu. Just a quick story of Prahlad, right? He is the son of Hiranyakashipu, and before he was born, when he was in the mother's womb, the Devatas, right? All the demigods, Devatas think that, oh my God, he's such an Asuric son. Imagine Asuric son will become more powerful. We should just wait for the child to come out and we should kill them. So they go and kidnap the wife and they take them to the Devaloka. And that time Narada sees and he's so upset. He says, how can you think, even before a child, and moreover, that child is a devotee. So Narada takes the wife and keeps in the hut and keeps talking and explaining Srimad Bhagavatam. And our small little Prahlad in the womb hears the whole thing, right? And he hears about all Krishna Kada, and he tells so many stories about Vishnu that he understands that Vishnu is the ultimate abode. And therefore, for Prahlad also, his guru is Narada. He's never seen Narada, he's only heard in the womb of the mother. And from that day onwards, he's like so much enlightened and he's so excited about Narada. About Narayana through Narada, right? So that is there. And Dhruva. We will go ahead and see the story of Dhruva. So Dhruva, does anyone know who Dhruva is? Or do you think of anything which relates to Dhruva? No?
Star. The star.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Pole star. It's called Dhruva Loka. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So what is happening is, who's Dhruva? Dhruva was a 5-year child and he was the great grandson of Brahma, right? And his father's name is Utanapada, and he had 2 mothers. Of course, one mother, Suniti, which is the first mother, that is first wife of Utanapana's child only is Dhruva. And Suchiti, Suruchi, right? Suruchi is his stepmom. Now Suruchi had a small child. He was few months old. He was sitting on the lap of his father. And Dhruva was very, you can imagine the 5-year child is like so bubbly, wants to go and sit on the lap of the father. He goes and asks, can I sit in the lap of your dad? Now, is that wrong? Is a 5-year child's wish wrong? Can a child ask for sitting on the lap of the father, or you think it's a very big demand? Come on, all of you. Hare Krishna.
It's not unreasonable demand.
Yeah. So it's a very natural feeling, right? And what happens, Suruchi, who's a stepmom, who's got complete control, is staring, and the king understands that Suruchi doesn't like. He is very devoted to his second wife, and he's so materialistically attached that even though he likes his son Dhruva, he's not able to pick him up and keep him in the lap because he doesn't want to do any activity which will displease his wife. So she says that if you need to be, if you really need, if you need some, if you need to sit on your father's lap or throne or whatever you need to be born, in my stomach. And it insults Dhruva, 5-year child, but Kshatriya. That is why we take Dhruva as an example. Kshatriya blood, he's feeling so insulted and he goes to mom crying, sobbing and with anger, right? And mom and Suruchi in the process says that if at all someone can solve you, you should go and ask Vishnu, right? To Vishnu to give you benediction so that you will be born in my stomach. So something like that she says. And he goes crying to the mother, and the mother is so honest, right? We are going to see honesty subsequently. She's so honest, she will tell that yes, I'm powerless. I really don't have power. I'm sorry about it. But one thing is correct. If anyone can give you dharma, it is only the Supreme Person, Vishnu. So Dhruva goes, I want to meet Vishnu, and he goes to the forest and he encounters Narada. I told Narada comes every time. So Narada says, hey, you're a small boy, don't worry, your father won't remember, you won't have any problem, go back. He says, no, I'm not going back. I am going to do tapas, I'm going to do austerities. We saw all Ashtanga Yoga, right? We were thinking, I should not do, but Dhruva says, no, teach me. I don't know how to do, you teach me. I'm going to do, because I want a kingdom bigger than Brahma, bigger than Brahma Loka. And he goes and prays, and he says, seeing his determination, Narada teaches him one shloka. What is that shloka? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is the one which we chant at the beginning, right? So, he takes that shloka and he starts doing such great austerities. Initially he'll pray, then he will eat little food, then with one leg he will do, then he will eat only one meal in a day, then one meal a week, then he will breathe only once a week, because he knows all this yoga process. That Vishnu himself, will feel so sweet about him. He comes, he says, what do you want? He'll be waiting to tell, I want kingdom. For that only he's come. But the moment he sees Vishnu, he is so excited. He says, I don't want anything. I want only you. I foolishly came for kingdom. But after seeing you, I have got a diamond and I've been asking for a stone. I need nothing and none other than you. And he gets so excited and seeing Vishnu. So Vishnu says, okay, now you go back. And he sends Narada prior to he going, and Narada meets his father Uttanapana and opens his eye. What a big mistake, he's done. The kingdom should go to Dhruva, and this is not the right thing. So Dhruva has the benediction that he will rule the world, right? He will rule the world for, at that time it was Satyayuga, right? So 1 lakh years. So Dhruva rules for about 36,000 years, if I'm right. He will rule the world for that time, and then after that he will, after he finishes ruling, he goes to this eternal spiritual planet, abode of Vishnu, Shirodakshai Vishnu's abode, right? Paramatma, called the pole star. It's called Dhruvaloka, right? And this is even above the Saptarishis, right? So this is so special. And that is why the moment he went, that's the speciality of Vishnu. The moment you see Vishnu, everything becomes clean. Not that you lose your wish. Vishnu anyway satisfies your wish, but he purifies and gives, just like your father, right? Can I eat a chewing gum, Dad? He will say no. But still he'll give you a hint, warning, and then he may still buy you. But then he'll clearly purify and your mind will be knowing the right thing or the wrong thing. So Vishnu is like your parent, where the moment you see Vishnu, purification starts, right? So we saw 3 of them who are Narada students, and they're all exalted, right? Narada wanted to find out who was the greatest devotee, right? Prior to that, first, what was his name? Narada's first time. What was he? He was a Gandharva. Gandharva means he's a singer in the heavenly planet, and his name was Upabarhana. So when he was Upabarhana, he was supposed to chant in the name of the Vishnu. Instead, he will see, a lot of things in heavenly planets. He will see the damsels, the beautiful ladies, and he'll forget preaching, thinking about God, and he will start singing about the girls. He'll be like a playboy, the typical girls. He'll be interested, he'll be fully immersed, and then he gets cursed, and he's born to poor parents. And and what happens when he is born? His mother is a maid, and father, there is no identity of the father also. And that time what happens is he will come across some gurus. When he come across these gurus, they would have come for this month, the 4 months in the year. They have what is called Chatur Masa, right? Due to rains, they will all come to a hut, and Narada's mom would have taken care of them so well. And Narada was 5 years old again. So you can imagine what he can do. He'll give little water and all that. And he used to listen to Krishna Kada, and whatever remnants of food, he used to take that permission and eat. And that time they got him initiated, and he became so powerful. And what happens is, for powerful means he becomes a big devotee, and his mother dies. How? On a snake bite when he was 5. So any of us would have got upset, right? He has no home, he has nothing. He thinks, okay, this is a direction God gave. And he starts walking into the forest in search of Vishnu again. And this is the story of Narada when he was small, right? Just like Dhruva, right? And then Vishnu's voice alone comes and tells that, hey, don't come after me now. You still have world to live. Go around. So he goes through, and then after he had natural death, he is reborn again as, son of Brahma. So he's also in his 3rd birth the son of Brahma. So now he wants to find out who's the greatest devotee. So he goes to find the hermit, right? He runs and he sees this person, like one yogi, and he asks him that, are you the greatest devotee? He says, no, I'm not. I've just come like a runaway bride. Then he goes to meet one of the greatest South Indian kings, and who serves the Lord by building such people, feeding so many people. He asks him, are you the greatest devotee? He says, no, not me. I just built one temple. Now he goes to, can anyone tell me who is he? Can anyone tell which god he is he?
Indradev?
Thank you so much. Perfect. Indradev, right? So he goes to Indraloka, and Indra is considered as the brother of Krishna, because he was the brother when Krishna took the avatar of Vamana. Vamana, the tiny dwarf, So he took that. That time Indra was his big brother. So he went and told, hey Indra, you are the greatest devotee, right? Indra says, no, I'm a horrible devotee. You know why? Frequently I get jealous, I get envy, I get anger. And imagine the Govardhana hill, all of you know that Krishna lifted when he was 6 years, hardly around 6 years, he lifted the big hill in his tiny finger. Why? Because Indra got angry. Indra got angry and he was giving, there are 3 types of clouds. A cloud which is so powerful and it can really shower rain like a destruction. It's not a rain or a destruction, it's a devastation, such a devastating rain because Indra is really burning up because they didn't pray Indra. Because on the orders of Krishna, when he was, the little Krishna, Nand Maharaj and Yashodama, he convinced everyone, don't pray Indra, we'll play Govardhan, because he wanted to teach a lesson. So that time Indra gets angry and he troubles him. So he says that I'm not a devotee at all, right? I won't be doing it. So this is one. So then he goes to Brahma. He says, okay, Brahma, you're such a great devotee. So there is one more Leela of Brahma called the Brahma Vimodana Leela. And I will tell you that Leela where he suspects if Krishna is really Krishna, because he sees him as a small child, right? So when Brahma comes to earth to see Krishna, Krishna is like playing with his friends, eating food from his mouth, from the plate, and he thinks this is not Krishna. Let me test. And he kidnaps all the children. And Krishna, what he does, he takes the form of the kids, right? He clones multiple children, not only children, into cows, sheep, and not only them, also the jewels which they are wearing and all, and 1 year goes. Why 1 year goes? Because in the 4th chapter, we saw Brahma's age is so long, right? So that is why. So his 1 second is equal to 1 year, and 1 year just vanishes off. And he is now, Brahma says, where I tested God only. So how can you call me as the greatest devotee? Then after that, Brahma also then gives up and he says, he glorifies his own father. And Brahma teaches one shloka called Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. This is the shloka which, chanting which Brahma gives to Narada, right? Then what happens? He goes to Shiva. Shiva, he says, you are a very exalted devotee. And there's a story. Shiva also. Shiva says, I can never be an exalted devotee because I'm very tempered. Sometimes I get angry and, therefore I cannot be called exalted devotees. On top of it, you see, I'm with all the ghostly people. So I won't fit the bill of exalted devotee. Then they go to Prahlad. Prahlad, you're tiny little boy, 5-year-old, from 2 years, from the time you were in the tummy, you're so exalted. Prahlad says, me? How can I be exalted? He says, you on your call, who came? You know who came? Narsimha came. You just opened, Narsimha came for you. So he says, Narada, you're wrong. Narsimha never came for me. Then whom did he come for? He says, Narsimha came for you. Narada says, me? Yes, Narsimha came for you because you were there. You are everywhere. And Narsimha actually came. Initially, I thought he came for my father, Hiranyakashipu, because he is very powerful. He wanted to teach a lesson. But then I understood it was actually for you because you're so exalted and you're present everywhere. And so he came to see you and show his rupam to you. Narada is confused. He says, okay, let me move on. He goes to Hanuman. He says, Hanuman, are you the exalted devotee? Hanuman says, me? I am not a devotee. I am just a dasya, right? I am a servant of Krishna and you're calling me devotee. No way. And I'm, and Sitama gave me the string of bead. I didn't even know the value. I just, bit it off and cut it and threw it off. So how can I qualify myself as a devotee? On top of it, I burnt even Lanka. So please don't call me a devotee. So then he goes to Pandavas. Then he says, Pandavas, I now found, because Krishna was with you, right? You all are greatest devotee. Pandava says, no, I cannot be a devotee only. How can I even think of being a devotee? Because I had caused so much of problem. Devotees create happiness to God. We are not devotees. And then finally he goes, Uddhava is a cousin of Krishna. He will look like Krishna, he will wear Krishna's dresses, he will imitate Krishna. So I say, Uddhava, you're the greatest devotee. He says, me, no, I keep imitating Krishna, right? I love Krishna, but I keep imitating. I cannot be a greatest devotee because I was shocked. And you know why? Because I went to gopis in Vrindavan and to leave a message. At that time, I saw even Radharani was talking to the bee. They're talking to the bees, telling that, hey, how are you? You're so cute. You're amazing. Did you see Krishna? Did you see Krishna? That time I understood what devotion means. So he says, I'm nowhere close. Ugrasena is the grandfather, and he also says the same. He says, I am not fit. So this is what he says. This gopis, of all the gopis, Radharani is the most exalted devotee. Right? So this is what is called the Gopi Gita. And it's in Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Jayati Devikam Janmana Brajaha Shreyatha Indira Shashvadatrayi Daita Drishyatam Dikshutavakas Tvaidartasavastvam Vishunchvate. Pardon my singing or chanting, whatever, it's horrible. But still I have to put up with it and you all have to put up with me. So then the Mahamantra, right, happens. So now you all are wondering, oh my God, so many things are happening. And who is the greatest devotee? And Krishna will answer who is the greatest devotee in part 2, and that part 2 will continue tomorrow, right? So for now, we will end this chapter and Hare Krishna to all. Hare Krishna, and we will find out who the greatest devotee from Krishna himself, because so many are there. And therefore, Narada decides that, nobody is accepting. That's a speciality of a devotee. No devotee agrees that he is the greatest devotee. He thinks he's the greatest devotee. Someone else is greater. Someone else is greater. And therefore, he decides, let me go and ask, directly Narayana, our Krishna itself, who is the greatest devotee. And that conversation is a small conversation which we will see in the weeks to come. Right? Hare Krishna, all of you, Hare Krishna, and thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Any other doubts? We had a long storytelling session. No? Yeah. So what did you all enjoy? Did you all sleep off? Tomorrow onwards, we'll start 7th chapter. It won't be so much fun time. We'll be back into Bhagavad Gita, but the most important part called the Bhakti will come tomorrow. We'll have the Bhakti part, which is a middle part. It's like the sample. What is actual Bhakti? How can we go to Krishna? All this will start off from tomorrow. All of you ready? So tomorrow when you come, it's chapter 7, but you are going to find the name of the chapter before coming. And that's the first question I ask, right? So thank you so much. Are there any questions you would like to ask? Otherwise, we can end the session. Any other question? No question? Okay, let me end the session. Hare Krishna. Come on, all of you, one time we chant. I'm not ending the session. I want to know who's going to chant 36 times today. Prabhu, you can stop the recording for the thing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you can stop